Hey guys, this is Dr. MPN. I secured a rank of 3.6k in this year's NEET PG 25. And today I'm going to talk about the mistakes that I made in my NEET PG journey and how correcting them helped me boost my rank from 30,000 in NEET PG 24 to a rank of 3.6k in NEET PG 25. So what are you waiting for? Smash that like button like a Roman Reigns Superman punch and subscribe so that you get up like the Undertaker and make a NEET PG comeback like I did. So let's dive in deep, man. Before I get to the first point, I want you guys to answer a question. When did you give your first GT and how many correct responses did you get? Post your answers in the comment section. First, not solving enough GTs and MCQs. As you know, or if you've seen my previous videos, I've told my NEET PG 2024 journey wasn't that smooth. A preparation that initially went pretty good, was hampered due to many reasons. But there were few things that were under my control and which I could have controlled. And one of them was definitely giving GTs. And if you see, this is the Marrow GT tracker, the famous Marrow GT tracker, and I've got you the data, my personal data of both NEET PG 2024 as well as 2025. If you see my 2024 data, the first Marrow GT that I gave was in 17th of December 2023. Just imagine. Obviously, I did give two other GTs, if I'm not wrong, from Bhatia, but I couldn't find those data. I tried to search, but I didn't get them. Even if I got them, they would be somewhere around this margin itself. They were really horrible, to say the least. So what I'm trying to say here is, for a guy who started his preparation journey before from the month of June, gave his first Marrow GT in the month of December. That just shows how legendary this NEET PG preparation was. And if you see this carefully, no signs of improvement whatsoever. And for someone who thought the 64 was bad, it got even better when it went to 29 percentile. So that's how shit my journey was for NEET PG 24. And ultimately you can see the curve is going up, but the number is still 51, 74, 91. God knows what that was, but it was horrible. My whole point is the frequency in which I gave GTs were very less. The gap was so huge. Ideally, you're supposed to give a GT every 10 days or at least every 2 weeks. That wasn't the case for me at that time. I used to give whenever I felt I wanted to give, or whenever I saw a message in a Telegram group or whatever, like you have to give a GT, or you have to give a GT in 10 days, 14 days, and so on and so forth. When I got too pressurized, that's when I started giving GTs for in my NEET PG 2024 preparation. So it was a horrible preparation, and from this graph, you can easily identify that. But when we come to NEET PG 2025, I was very clear. No matter what I read, no matter how many questions I do, I am going to give GTs, and that too frequently. So I made it a rule. It might not be too evident as such, but I made it a rule that I'm going to give GTs every 10 days or every 2 weeks. I integrated that schedule with my BTR test and discussion schedule, which ma'am gives every year. So if you can see here, this graph can be divided into two parts. I would say yes. The one before this is for INICT November 2024, and the one after that is for INICT May as well as NEET PG. It exposed me to areas where I never knew existed. I was so happy in my comfort zone, just going through PYQs, just reading the notes, that I forgot to realize that there was stuff outside that which had to be addressed, and GTs were a perfect example of that. And if you see, there was actually some sort of progress in this. At least the percentiles were decent enough to tell someone, not like this. What the hell is this? My whole idea of this comparison table is to tell all repeaters as well as the freshers that please don't be scared of how much marks you're going to get. Don't stop attempting GTs in the fear that you're going to get a low score, or in the fear that I've only studied two or three subjects. I'm anyways going to give a bad GT and get a bad score. Might as well not give. No, it doesn't work like that. The whole idea of GT is to train yourself, is to train your mind to stay sharp for 3 hours in INICT and 3.5 hours in NEET PG. Believe me, almost all the candidates have similar level of preparations. We all use almost the same sources. But what is it that creates a difference in ranks? It's the temperament. Some people are just mentally unfit to sit at one place and give a GT at one go. We've heard of so many stories where guys scroll through Instagram reels while giving GTs, or go through Twitter feeds, or Facebook, or whatever that is. And that's not how it works. You get, when you go to the main exam, you're going to get seriously frustrated. You have to sit for 3.5 hours. If you have come in this route, if you come in such ordinary routine, you're going to find it very difficult to sit and bring out your best. So the whole idea of GTs is to develop that mental temperament. So my first advice would be to please start giving GTs. You don't give a damn if you get 60 corrects, 70 corrects, 80 corrects. No, don't give a damn about that. Just start giving GTs, and it will only get better from that. Trust me. You can trust me because the data is right in front of you. From this person to this person, the only difference was a shift in mindset. I decided no matter what happens, I'm going to give a GT. So I've got some other data as well. So this is what I want to talk about: mocks, that is NEET mocks or INICT mocks. Now what I would advise you guys is, just get one subscription, preferably Marrow. Okay, for GTs, do GTs every 2 weeks from Marrow. And when the exam approaches, all the other coaching platforms. So this is Cerebellum, this is Dam CBT, and then Prep Ladder, Doc Tutorials, or whatever. And if you're a BTR subscriber, even ma'am gives 2 or 3 GTs before every main exam. So you're going to get those free GTs. It's very important you do those free GTs as well, so that you can avoid platform bias. What I mean by platform bias is, if you keep on doing GTs only from Marrow, you're going to be accustomed to the pattern of the questions that's going to be asked by the Marrow faculty. You're going to get that routine. You're going to understand what exactly is going to be asked. If you give four or five back-to-back GTs, you're going to understand how the pattern is, and that's going to change your thought process. That's going to streamline your thought process. That's going to narrow your thought process, to be precise. And that's not how it works in a competitive exam. It has to be broad. You have to think in so many different ways. That's how using a different platform for a GT helps. It exposes you. If you're thinking only in one way, maybe if you're thinking in the same way as a Marrow faculty, that may not be the same thought process as a faculty from Cerebellum, or someone from DAMS. They're going to give a different set of question with a different approach, and that is going to expose you. It's very important to keep shuffling platforms, especially when you're near the exams. If you're like 1 or 1.5 months away, these platforms are going to give you free mock GTs. Please attend all of them, so that you get an idea as to how many different ways are there in which a question can be asked. And trust me, that's only going to improve you. No matter how much theory you read or how many question modules you do, sitting at one place for 3.5 hours and using whatever information you have in your brain to come to a conclusion of a question, that is what exactly matters, and that is what you need in a competitive exam like NEET, and more so in an exam like INICT. The knowledge, it's there for everyone, but how you use it is very important. And the best way you can use your information to the maximum is by practicing more and more GTs, so you get accustomed to different ways by which questions can be asked. It's like a batsman. He's not practicing in the nets only for full toss or bounces. He's practicing for good length balls, full length balls, outswingers, in swingers. He's practicing for everything. It's not like Mitchell Stark is going to come and bowl full toss to Rohit Sharma for all 6 balls. No, he's going to pitch it up. He's going to swing the first ball away, second ball away, and he's going to bring the third ball in and get you clean bowled. So that's the approach that you need to know when you're preparing for a competitive exam like NEET. So these pictures basically of my NEET mock is not to show off. It's to tell you guys, you have to bring about that routine. Keep giving GTs. It's not like you give GTs every 2 or 3 days. Space it out. At least 10 days is a good gap. And if you can't, then at least every 2 weeks. Not beyond that. Every 2 weeks you have to give a GT. And when you approach the exam, it's very important that you give a GT every week till 10 days before the exam, after which I don't advise you to give a GT in the last 10 days before any exam. That's purely for eyeballing the theory. Okay. And another thing that I want to specifically highlight is have a target of what score you want to reach at the end of your preparation. You need to have two targets. One, if you give a GT and you get 80 corrects, you need to make sure that you get more than 80 corrects in your next GT. That is an immediate target. And next, a final target, a broad target. If I want to give an example of BTR, so this is a BTR GT, which was, this is the last BTR GT before NEET PG. So whichever BTR GT be it, ma'am always tells us a score of 140 or more is good. So we have a target that we have to reach 140 or not. This was, I gave about 4 or 5 BTR GTs, and this was the only GT where I got a score of 140. Every other GT was 121, 137, 132. It was all in that range. So I felt validated. I felt happy when I got to this target, because I knew when I got to this, I'm in the right phase, and I don't care what my rank reflects or what my percentile reflects in this test. I know I'm in the right path to getting a decent rank. And throughout my preparation, my target was to get a rank under 10,000, not 2,000, or something. My target was to get a rank under 10,000, and I knew I was well in course to get that rank. So similarly, that's why I always tell you, you can see this 155, 143, 144, 153. The percentiles are all different. 84, 93, 75, 96. Don't be bothered about the percentile, or don't take it too seriously. I mean, I won't say don't be bothered. Obviously, you need to know the competition around you, but don't stress out over it. The most important parameter is this number of corrects. You need to ensure yourself that you're in the right path. And how do you do that? By maintaining consistency. You have to ensure a decent target, that I would tell you, is 1 month before the exam, 1 month before NEET PG 2026. Ensure that you are reaching around about 150, because 150 is also a clustering score, as you must have seen in this year's NEET PG. Dr. Deepthi Bal, that is Deepthi ma'am from DAMS, she used to always tell that try to get to 155, because 155, if you get to 155, you're essentially breaking away from a huge cluster, that is 145 to 155. 130 to 140 corrects is a huge cluster, but for a very good rank, there are so many people competing between 145 corrects to 155 corrects. That is a heavily underrated clustering zone. So if you want to break away from that, if you want to ensure a safe rank, you have to target 155. But I would tell you, target 150, because on the exam day anything can happen. You can have a good day, that 150 can go to a 155 or 160. So target 150. Your target 1 month before NEET PG 26 should be to reach at least 150. That's when you have to reach there. You have a lot of work to do, and you will put in the effort because you have a target. This was because I never had a target. I was not aware about the competition around me. I didn't want to know because I was too scared. I was literally too scared to know the competition around me, because I didn't I wanted to justify my preparation, and I was too scared basically. So I never gave GTs because I was too scared to see the competition around me. Please don't do that. Competition, you should be focused on your preparation from day one to the last day. And if you give your best, then you have that satisfaction that you gave it all. And that's what matters. Not, you can't control other people's preparations. There's this famous line about controlling the controllables, or like MS Dhoni says, focus on the preparation, focus on the process. Okay, that's what you guys should focus on, the process, and that is giving GTs regularly, doing custom modules. Okay, fixing, having targets, having realistic targets initially, and having a fixed final target, so that it motivates you, it pushes you to get up every day in the morning and push yourself harder, makes you put that extra bit of effort. That's what decides. So that small bit of effort can make a huge difference in the long run. And before I wrap up this GT point, I would advise each and every student who is watching this, who is planning to appear for INICT November or NEET PG 26, please give this. CBT is a computer based test, that is, it's an offline computer based test. Which, okay, computer based test is offline only. What am I saying? It's an offline test which is organized by DAMS. So initially I was very skeptical about it, but it proved to be absolutely right. It's so, how do you say it? It was the closest to the actual exam. Anybody who gave both CBTs and NEET PG this year can agree to the fact that the the NEET PG 2025 paper was a typical CBT paper. And if you see carefully, yeah, the correct answers, I got 161 in my in the CBT, which was held 1 month before the exam, and my final score was 159. So it was round about that area. It kind of gives us an idea as to for a, how well you are prepared, and second, it does give you a closer range of what marks of, or how many corrects you can get in the original exam. Another exam which almost every student who in the NEET PG field attempts is obviously Marrow NEET PG mock, which you have to give, no excuses. But what I'm trying to say is Marrow NEET PG mock, which was held on of May, or the exam was supposed to be on 15th June initially. That's why it was held on 26th May. The score I got was 148 corrects, but that shot up to 159, and this closely resembled my actual NEET PG score. So I would recommend each and every student to please give this CBT. Obviously, I think since INI-CT is in November first week, the INI-CBT will be held somewhere in October first or second week, I guess. If you go to the DAMS app, you can. I think they must have given the dates for it. Just go register and attempt it, guys. Trust me. No, the progress is right in front of you. I'm not promoting. There's no need for me to promote. I'm not even a damn student. So I want you guys to understand what is available and how to make most use of it. So please, towards the end of the exam, you have to give this test. And like I said, for BTR users, ma'am is also going to give mock GTs. And I think if ma'am gives two GTs, the first one would be free for everyone, irrespective of whether you're a subscriber or not. It was last year. It was like that last year. I don't know how it's going to be now. So basically, the point is, if you get something free, just use it to your best. Okay. Don't think too much. When you get time, just attempt the free mocks to assess your progress. I hope you guys have commented about your GT corrects, so that once you guys are done with your NEET PG journey, you can come back and see your progress and be proud of yourselves. Since this video is already too long, I'll be breaking this into 4 parts. The second part will be on my inability to concise my large bulky notes and how I was able to tackle that problem in my NEET PG 2025 journey. So until I drop that video, keep working hard, guys. Just remember, hard work beats talent, not because talent doesn't work hard. It's because each one of you are equally talented. It's just the proportion of hard work that varies. Take care, guys. I'll see you soon.